Welcome back, adventurers! I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today we start our journey into the heart of India with a double billing of classic LEGO sets, 7410 Jungle River and 7422 Red Eagle. Let's take a look at them both. Starting with our minifigure selection, both sets actually feature the same iconic LEGO protagonist, Johnny Thunder. Johnny has received a bit of an update since his last appearance in Dino Island, with a brand new torso and faceprint pairing. In fact, the entire main cast of heroes in Orient Expedition are rocking some new duds, and change it up with every region they travel to. As a collector and general fan of these characters, this added attention to detail is greatly appreciated. Johnny Thunder's India attire even features leg printing, which was still something noteworthy back in the day. Likely done to save a buck, the minifigure included with the Red Eagle set does not feature this, however, meaning that one of our Johnnies today will be without pockets. Moving to the face printing now, both Johnny and Pippin receive some updated designs here, while Dr. Kilroy looks about the same as he ever did. If I'm honest though, I think both of these new designs are significant downgrades to their previous iterations, especially with Pippin. This new face print for Johnny looks more apprehensive, less suave and sure of himself when compared to the original. As much as I would love to keep using their original heads throughout this series, I'll have to resist the temptation and try to keep things as period accurate as I can. Though we won't be seeing any more of Pippin or Dr. Kilroy today, we'll catch up with them once we've traveled deeper into India. For now, let's focus on the road, or should I say river, ahead. Though the set name Jungle River doesn't quite specify which particular tributary we are traveling, cross-referencing the initial design documents for the theme with a map of waterways in India shows a surprising correlation between the two. The latter half of the Luni River lines up perfectly as the gang travels northeast towards New Delhi. Now, I know this is reaching for answers to questions that were never anticipated to be asked. I get that. But on the other hand, it's kind of fun, so if you'll permit me to continue, let's keep going. 7410 features a steamboat, riverside shrine, and green crocodile of the classic variety. Johnny has tangled with these green chompers before, though this would prove to be the final time the two would be seen together in one set. Speaking of crocodiles, the side build included here is referred to as the Crocodile Shrine, according to the Orient Expedition interactive comic book from LEGO.com. At first, I assumed this was purely baseless, but upon looking into it, I learned that a not insignificant part of Hinduism revolves around the crocodile being a holy animal. In fact, the Hindu goddess Ganga is an embodiment of the Ganges River and is often depicted atop a crocodile. So kudos to the LEGO designers for doing their homework here, even if traveling the Ganges River would send us in the wrong direction. Now, are the weird octopus arms, evil skull, and reuse of the Mayan headdress on point for this shrine? I'd say less so. The yellow headdress piece is set exclusive, and the mold itself is making its final appearance. While it's not a perfect match to the source material, I can appreciate the effort. The skull print we see here is actually an updated design created for 2002's Alpha Team mission Deep Sea. For a number of years, this design would supplant its predecessor and began to creep its way into many other themes. Just like with Pippin and Johnny, I consider this new skull face print to be a bit of a downgrade compared to what we had before. In my opinion, many of the Orient Expedition sets look much better with the traditional skull piece, though unfortunately that print wasn't used at all in 2003. I do have to raise the question as to why we are seeing a human skull incorporated into this shrine, as I was unable to find any instances of the use of human remains in this manner within Indian or Hindu traditions. I only have surface level knowledge though, so I'm willing to learn if you know more about this. While you're at it, if anyone can explain the strange use of these set exclusive dark blue tentacle arms, I'm all ears. Beneath the shrine, we will find two gemstones that can be pilfered or left in their proper place, but watch out. In addition to the crocodile patrolling the river, there is also a red snake slithering about the underbrush. Johnny may want to just stick to the boat. Speaking of which, let's take a look at what is effectively the main build of this set. Resting atop a set-exclusive light gray hull piece, this steam-powered riverboat is surely one of the finest examples in LEGO's repertoire. Succinct, thematic, and surprisingly detailed, this vessel is equally suited for play and display. The tall black smokestack is appropriately capped off, and there are a plethora of gauges and controls littering the vessel. Towards the bow rests a crate full of ornaments and adventuring supplies, and a dark gray chain secures it from floating too far away. I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but the pair of brown windows are also set exclusive. How can it be that such a small set has so many notable elements? Honestly, it's a trend we're going to see continue as we travel the Orient expedition. 2003 was a major shifting point in the trajectory of the company. Dozens of new molds that signaled the beginning of the new design language LEGO would come to use were entering production, while at the same time, legacy colors were being phased out. This created a small period of overlap where we would see new molds in an old color, or vice versa. Orient Expedition falls directly in the middle of this, being one of the last LEGO themes to use the old brown, light gray, and dark gray colors. In the same way that I felt the Rock Raiders HQ served as a strong send-off to the building techniques of the 20th century, I feel Orient Expedition gives us a glimpse of the future while still serving as one final hurrah for those brick colors we've come to know and love. Taken together, 7410 Jungle River is a must-have set for any adventurer's collector. Despite its small size, I really feel this is one of the highlights of the entire sub-theme. Not bad for our first outing. Let's see how the Red Eagle stacks up. 7422 is one of a trio of smaller sets designed for the Kabaya promotional line in Japan, though they were also available for retail, at least in my neck of the woods. Since they are designed to be bite-sized sets, I don't believe it's fair to compare them to their full-sized counterparts. Instead, I think we need to meet them at their level, and honestly, for adventurers, that is a very low bar to clear. Most of the tiny adventurer sets that came before this were completely forgettable and barely worth a mention. Compared to those offerings, the Red Eagle soars above the crowd and actually makes for a decent model, even if it is a little small. Johnny Thunder returns, albeit without leg printing, and he came armed with a pistol because, say it with me, it wouldn't be an adventurer's set without guns. The plane itself uses just enough new molds to keep it from looking distractingly blocky. The engine is comprised of just a handful of parts that combine to make a convincing facsimile of the real-life equivalent. This wedge plate, introduced in 2003, is actually a rare piece to find in the dark gray color, and it does a lot of heavy lifting here in order to add a tapering effect to the fuselage. The final touch is added with this equally new tail fin mold that was actually set exclusive in the red color all the way up until 2021. So if you've been waiting 20 years to complete your Red Eagle model, well, wait no longer. When you compare the Red Eagle to those similar sets that came before, you can clearly see the effect these new 21st century molds had on the construction possibilities here. I know I sometimes rip on LEGO sets of this era designed post-2002, but in the right circumstances, these parts can really shine. While certainly one of the best adventurer Kabaya sets, I think it's still largely skippable when it comes down to it. There are going to be bigger and better things on the horizon for Johnny. We'll just have to keep our eyes to the sky. So, where does our adventure lead us next? Well, in keeping with the story told throughout the interactive comics, our next stop will involve catching up with Dr. Kilroy as he hunts for the legendary Sunstone Gem. We will also see our first introduction to the board game elements that will come into play later on. I hope to see you then. I've been your host, R.R. Slugger, and I'll see you next time for another adventure.